Vince.
I was thinking the same thing. What's the number on that?
I don't know. Did I ever tell you the story?
Not
about
this generation, though.
Did I ever tell you about the story about being at a drive-in and seeing this girl getting railed?
Kids banging up against the window.
Like, no. You heard, like, I was there with a couple buddies.
Was the car just like...
I was there with a couple buddies. I'm not going to mention their name, but one of them was viewing us on our Rustbelt Bastards page. Like,
nice.
I don't know if it was too. We went on a Cedar Point trip later on.
Okay.
But, like, this chick, where you just heard, like, this car is like, on fucking rocking. And, like, this girl's like, and you just, I saw, you heard, like that, right? A fucking high heel through the back.
Are you serious?
Through the back window of like the door. it's like shaking, probably like her lips are quivering. But like, dude, she was probably knocked up.
Oh
like,
my god.
Awesome. He was going balls. Needless to say, this I don't have any facts on this or any.
I can't corroborate.
I don't have any data. But if I have to say, there are some babies conceived from...
Probably.
Probably. There are.
Yeah.
There are. Which is good.
Nice.
What you get...
I just think of the Uncle Buck suspension where it's like bouncing down the road. Like the car just like a beater piece of shit.
I can't think of the movie. What's the Jennifer Lopez movie when like with the Thriller? You remember the Thriller one where she was in?
She goes in the mind or something?
It was like
The Cell?
The Cell.
Was it The Cell?
That was a movie that we were watching. I was like, so you were conceived during the movie of The Cell when the intestines were being like...
Oh, yeah, that was The Cell.
Twisted up on
that
like
was a really creepy-ass movie.
On the stick. Like the
it was a really interesting movie, but that was creepy.
It was creepy.
Yeah.
So like my buddies and I, we went to go see that movie, and like... I'll tell you who it was after. But like, you know one of them already because I read.
Yeah.
But like, so dude, we were drunk and like we had some drinks and we went to go. Who doesn't like to go see like drive-ins, right?
Yeah.
The drive-ins by me, you get to see 3 movies for the price of one. So we went to go see. I think it was like Godzilla at the time. I can't remember. We went to go see one movie. And there's another movie.
Matthew Broderick Godzilla?
I think so.
Oh, God.
When The Cell came out. I forget.
Matthew Broderick, like, what the fuck were you thinking?
I woke up during the Cell movie where those intestines were being rolled up on the thing. I was like, oh, fuck! Like that, right? Like, imagine waking up to that.
Oh, yeah, that'd be terrible.
And then the car next to you just fucking, like that. And like
nice.
this woman getting railed.
Nice.
It's like, man, you gotta be pretty fucked up if you're railing a chick during that movie unless she's not watching it. But if both of you are watching it and getting railed, there's some mental stuff.
Some kinky shit.
There's some kinky shit.
Reminds me of a little snuff film.
Yeah.
Snuff film inside a drive-through. I don't know. I don't even know where to take that. I got nothing. I can't top that.
Can't top.
I don't have a story that crazy.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Later on that day, we were driving to Cedar Point, and like when we were driving to Cedar Point, we're like, "Hey, who wants to drive?" And one person's like, "Well, I'll drive first." So we'll take turns, right?
Yeah.
This is like we went out and about, had some drinks,
Okay.
pulled the all-nighter at the movies, got a couple hours of sleep. So we're driving to Cedar Point, which is in Ohio, Sandusky, if anybody wants to go, because that's where kick-ass roller coasters are. And the other roller coaster is Disney. You fucking suck compared to...
oh, yeah, Disney's roller coasters are terrible.
Universal
Studios. 2 dicks down from Rustbelt
Universal Studios, you got a thumbs up for roller coasters.
Yeah.
But any kind of roller coaster, you want to go to Cedar Point, because they always try thrive to be the fastest and tallest. We're on our way there. And like the person that decided to drive is like, oh, drive. We're like, all right, we'll take turns sleeping. Mm-hmm. So like he's driving, and I'm like starting to nod off, and then you see, like I feel like, like that. It's like I wake up, I'm like, man, are you alright? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. It's like, well, I felt the car like drifting over. No, I'm alright. So then I fall asleep, and right when I fall asleep, it's like, like that. I woke up and I was like, boom, like that. Fuck. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, I hit him so hard. Like he had a red mark on his face for a while. That you gotta hit someone hard.
Oh
for
yeah, oh yeah.
Not hard to leave a mark.
Trust me, we know. We played that game.
Yeah, but to leave a mark on someone's face for a while, it was on his face for a while, and he's like, oh, like that. Like, I can't remember who fucking like, I think I drove after. I can't remember who drove after. I know I drove probably for a little bit, but the person that was in the backseat was viewing us earlier. Fell asleep through the whole thing, right?
Oh my god.
So when you heard that,
yeah,
we went over.
Thank God for rumble strips.
No, that was us going over the rumble strips, over the grass medium that went down the hill and up onto oncoming traffic in a freeway. And so,
So wait a minute. Before you woke up, he was already on the other side.
I woke up. On the other side. Guess what I woke up to?
What?
Oh my god! Fucking semi.
Oh. I can't.
Waking.
You're so lucky I'm alive. You're so lucky you're alive.
His ass up, by smacking him, and then bringing the wheel over and going back onto the actual right side of the freeway.
Oh my god!
And we finally made it to Cedar Point, and our buddy that was sleeping in back, he's like,
he slept through the whole thing.
It's like the guy in Half Baked, where he's like, hey man,
on the couch, he just wakes up, takes in, passes back out. He's
like, oh hey man, we're here. It's like, fucking yes, we're here. Surprisingly, to where it's I do believe, if you look on our Rust Belt Bastards page, we posted a live video in YouTube and Rumble. Earlier, we're talking about higher above beings and gods and devils and stuff.
Yeah.
I do believe there has to be.
There's got to be something.
There's got to be something fucking out there because we made it to Cedar Point, and I'm alive right now talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm
my cheeks are hurt from this shit.
He's like, bullshit, you didn't do that. I'm like, you want to make a fucking bet? Take a look at the wheel. Dude, under our wheels, it was cake. It was grass. We had sods of grass
oh my God.
Underneath the car.
That's solid, man.
Yeah,
that's good.
Solid. Good,
oh my god, that's so great.
Good times. Yeah.
Oh fuck, that's hilarious.
Fucking scary as shit. So as to, do I believe that there's some kind of higher being?
Yeah.
I would like to think there be, because it got me through that.
Yeah.
So, and I do feel like I've had other experiences, something's watching over me.
Yeah, yeah. For you to wake up at that instance, right?
As far as there's a heaven and hell, I don't know.
Yeah.
We talked earlier, hell sounds sort of fun.
Well, you want to know my theory?
I'm would you rather...
We were created by aliens put down here, and...
Probably. Yeah. It's the whole interdimensional thing, what they're saying, there's no other dimensions now, and stuff like that. It's what...
Well, they think of the relativity, instead of thinking of 3 dimensions, it's more 4, 5, 6.
Can we?
Which can then lead to parallel dimensions.
Right.
Which would... Again, I'm not a physicist, I don't know, but you think about some of the things that...
I'm moving this over to you.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Aliens. Go.
You want to talk about aliens?
Fuck yeah. Let's do this shit.
All right.
Fuck yeah, man. Cheer. You got you on this one.
All right, Come on.
We're going down. We're going down this one. We're going down.
Okay.
My mom.
Aliens. So
when I was conceived.
Oh God.
Jesus Christ.
Do you really want to do this now?
Fuck yeah, we do. We can segment this out.
So I told you what my mom did.
Can we splice this part 2 to just an alien part 2?
Yeah, we can cut it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But then we can keep it together as well too.
So
wait. Put your fingers. Squirrely, stubby.
E.T. phone home. E.T. phone home. Wait, start the reactor. Start the reactor. Oh, I don't.
Oh my!
It's this kind of party.
We're going aliens. We're fucking going aliens.
We're going aliens. Okay.
Let's do this shit.
So my mom, I don't know what she did. My dad was in the military.
I don't know what my dad did. Ever.
You don't know your dad at all.
All I know is he left me.
Hence the Rust Belt.
Bastards. Anyways, go ahead.
So no, I don't know. My dad never really gave me a lot of specifics, but my mom somehow was able to have a security clearance that was on the level.
What if this pulls us? What if he's supposed to... Fuck no. They're talking about aliens and
No.
fuck.
They don't give a shit.
No.
Besides, everybody believes in aliens nowadays.
I know, right?
You know, like it's stupid to not to now, right?
Isn't that funny how that
Yeah.
peeled it off quick?
I know, right?
Go ahead.
Anyway,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
my mom had a security clearance as high as like either a vice president or president.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you know anything about security clearances, when you get to that level, there's only 200 people in the world that has that high a security clearance from our government. So it's fucking high. Like 200 people, that's fucking high.
Yeah.
She gave it. She gave the security clearance back in the Clinton administration.
Cheers again to that, man. This is fucking awesome.
Because
viewers out there, share this and like this and spread the word to log on to this now.
Yeah.
Go. Let's give them like a few seconds.
Yeah.
We have 3 viewers right now.
Yeah, please
spread the word
Rustful
to get on this right now because you're gonna hear some crazy ass shit.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool shit actually. So my mom.
Hold on, wait a second.
Okay.
Let's wait a second.
All right.
Our viewers out there, I know Jeremy.
Yeah, please
Chris,
like, subscribe.
Jeremy,
click
Chris,
the
we saw that
notification
you're on
bell.
there. We have 3 viewers right now.
We're on Rumble. We're on YouTube.
Oh, 1 viewer right now. But if anybody you out there, like if you're watching right now, log on.
This is gonna get really deep.
This is gonna get deep.
This is really.
You want to hear about some alien shit? Like, fucking
spread
listen
the
now.
word, bitches.
Spread the word now.
This is legit.
We're gonna give you a minute to try to spread the word to somebody to log on to us now because you're gonna hear some crazy shit.
It's gonna be some cool fucking
Whoever
shit.
is viewing us right now,
Believe
please
it or not.
message us who's viewing us still right now.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna hear some crazy shit. And the first T-shirt that we get with Rust About Bastards, we'll give to you free and have you on here to talk.
Yeah.
And I don't know what fucking else, but like do it right now.
Okay.
Let's give them a minute.
Well, we're not just gonna sit there dead.
I'm not gonna sit here doing a minute. I'm gonna just.
Oh, stop. No, but seriously, yeah, you want to get him to go away? Keep fucking doing that.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm
we have 2
gonna
viewers.
I'm gonna get started onto the alien shit.
We have 2 viewers right now. Alien shit. 30 more seconds. Message somebody right now to log on
to
Rust About Bastards. To Rust About Bastards.
Because you're gonna hear some crazy alien shit.
You're gonna hear some.
Because my mom had a security clearance that was as high as the president or vice president.
Yeah.
And there's only 200 people in the country that have that high of a security clearance, and there's some shit she didn't tell me, but my dad told me. She's in heaven right now, maybe. But anyway,
whatever happens to those beings, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go.
Anyway, okay. So my mom.
We love you guys.
So my mom had a security clearance that was as high as the vice president or president, right? And there's only roughly 200 people that have that level high of clearance or above, and so that's a really small number. If you know anything about security clearances, that's really fucking high. Like, really fucking high.
Yeah.
And so, my mother, like, I don't know what it is she listened in on scenarios that the government would create and then release to the public, and my mom would review some of those. And they would say, hey, this isn't believable, like, change this, do this. And one of them was when a guy was actually coming out with factual stuff, he was actually known for his weird theories and crackpots, and my mom basically told the government, like, don't say anything because his own reputation makes him look like a crackpot. If you came out and said something against him, that would just validate what he's fucking saying, right? This is the mind game that the government likes to play. So anyway, my dad actually did tell me a story where she went to the CIA headquarters, right? And this was back before computers were distributed, what have you.
This is what?
This
give
was
a date. Like 90.
I don't know if this was like 80s, maybe
80s.
Maybe late 70s. I don't know. Probably 80s. Anyway, she went. So this was before we came to Michigan. I'm pretty sure because I was born in Walter Reed Army Hospital in '78.
Okay.
I won't give the specific date because I don't want my viewers to know any shit.
Yeah.
So anyway, when she was there, she was looking for something, not being suspicious or not being malicious in what she was trying to find, just doing her job. Yeah.
Doing her job.
So she went down there, and they have a database where you can sit at a single computer and look at different videos in different things that were there. Well, one of those videos that she had that she pulled up was basically this object. And my dad didn't tell me what the shape of the object was, but he just told me that the person on the video could literally pick it up, crumple it like tinfoil into a ball, and then release it, and it'll literally go right back to its original form. We don't have the fucking technology to be able to do that.
Back then.
Back then.
back then.
They may now, but I don't think they still do.
Mm-hmm.
But what it is it's just like muscle memory. When you learn how to play a sport or do something,
When
you
learn how to
can
do
move your
something.
body in a
Guitar,
certain way.
piano, punching,
Bingo. You got
anything.
it, right? So there's technology within that metal that made it somehow a memory in the material that was like, hey, this object was able to go back to its original form that it was made at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at certain objects, like for example, you can tell when something's fabricated because you can see die draw, you can see different parting lines where the material breaks through the seal on the tool. Like I'm in manufacturing, so I know some of this stuff.
Right.
So you can tell when something's fake or it's not, right? Like that was real. So then there's other things that I've been told, right? So gosh, what else was that? That was one of the big ones. There other ones was my dad told me that Hangar 47, where there's a movie.
Explain Hangar 47.
Okay, so Hangar 47 is a movie I think that came out in the 70s. I think it's a low production film, but it's pretty good. It actually wasn't bad for its time. But it's where this NASA pilots went up.
Yeah.
And they had some type of extended arm where they were doing work on a satellite or what have you. They came in contact with this UFO.
Right.
And this UFO they saw, they tracked it, they radared it, they knew it was there. And then what happened was something happened on the UFO's ship.
Right.
That say a gas leaked on their ship. And what happened is what happened on their ship was chemicals broke, and then what happened is they ingested the chemical in the air when they breathed, and the aliens died on the ship. Well, what happened was the alien ship had some type of autopilot that took them to the planet down on the ground.
Right.
So the UFO landed while they died on the ship, right? And it sat there. So they had a fully contained UFO. The government took it, and this is in the movie, right? And this is what my mom said was real, right? They said this movie is based off of reality. This fucking happened. Yeah. So that was really interesting. And so the premise is that when they started trying to decipher the information on the ship, right? Because they do it through either telekinesis or through their hands, right? They somehow are able to control the ship. So they were monitoring our communications, how we spoke, how we talked, how we acted, our culture. And of course they wanted to learn, right? Well, what they started doing when they started deciphering the information on the ship through their language or through their symbols or what have you, they were saying that they created us, that they put us down here, and then they obviously manipulated our genes to evolve, right, and things like that. And so what happened was these people that were on that UFO, they obviously took the alien cadavers off because they were dead, right, when they pulled them off. But the government wanted to blow it up to reduce all evidence, right?
Keep going.
And so anyway, what happened was in the movie, and I know it's spoiler, but this is what we actually, based on what my mom's security clearance actually said was true, through my dad, was when they bombed it, they were in the UFO, but the UFO was made of a material that couldn't be penetrated by our weapons, and so they were still alive on the UFO, but it blew up the hangar, and that's why they called it Hangar 47, right?
Okay.
And so that was some really cool stuff that that basically my mom told my dad, which then told me.
Which was confidential.
Yeah, which was...
And then, like, she's...
But today, I don't know if anybody would kick a fuss for that bullshit. Like, really? And then everybody
say,
is
this
that really
ties
true?
into when we want to have a conversation about extraterrestrials.
Yeah, when you want
extraterrestrials, unidentified flying objects, or
and I've watched
AF.
And so,
I forget they
so
changed the term from UFO to something else.
So and there's also a lot of other things that the government isn't disclosing.
Right.
And do you always wonder why they can't balance the defense budget? Because they have all these off the books projects. And what they're doing
Right.
is they're building all these underground bases. They have the Dulce base. They have all these other bases, and they say that they're connected by rail to all the airports, right, underground. And there's just like one unknown exit to get out onto the main part of the airport that's under secure guard.
Right.
And so that's how they're able to transport people, as well as to get, I don't know if they have, let's put it this way, they do have, I guarantee you, and you've seen the Bob Lazar from Area 51.
Yeah, Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar.
Where
they
his
had
whole-
intact UFOs
his whole
that they
life,
were flying, yeah.
His marriage,
They threw it all upside
his wife,
down.
his family, got
Yeah.
turned upside down because
And there were
guess
people that
what? He started
corroborated,
talking
yeah.
about it.
And they
Yeah.
they said that they measured the digit of the finger on the palm. This was back in the 90s, I think, or 80s, right?
Right.
And they said, hey, we measure the bone in your hand because it doesn't grow once you hit a certain age. And so they do scans. Well, they found one, and then they showed it to him. He's like, oh, yeah, this was the one I was talking about on the documentary I was telling you or talking to you about.
Yeah.
And so when he saw that, it just corroborated
Yeah.
his stuff. And the funny thing is they even scrubbed his name from the list from Area 51 because
Right.
they wanted to deny everything he was
what he
even
was
there.
doing. But you can go back to like where he they
Yeah.
scrubbed where he went to college at.
Yep. They scrubbed him off of the board there.
Everything. It's like if you find articles in magazines of him creating like a rocket engine on his car.
Yep.
Like there's that. It's still,
That was the reason why he got known to where Area 51 had interest in it.
The government contacted him.
Yeah.
To where it's like if the government contacts you for that, like he
You have a
still
special
has
skill.
You have a special skill.
Right.
And he talked about re-engineering when he came in. When he was on Joe Rogan podcast, and I can't remember the he's either a producer or whoever it is that helped him produce a movie as well. When he came on Joe Rogan, I wish I had this. We need to do a different like podcast about this altogether. But when he came on, like, he talked about when he was drafted, they saw this in the magazine, right? It's like, let's go to this guy. And when they brought him in, he was trying to reverse engineer the electronics and the
Where do you think
engineering.
where do you think fiber optics
Right,
came from?
the
It came
whole-
from the alien ship.
Exactly, the whole engineering process of whatever they had, available to them. But then when he also spoke, it was him. When he also discussed this, it was him divulging that, like, listen, like they split us up, so I only had
compartmentalized the
They
departments.
compartmentalized it.
So they didn't know what they were working on.
Exactly, but he knew, and then he also states like that he saw like
He did see the ships.
the ships.
He did see the
and
UFOs.
I would have to say, what did you call it? How would you say it? Unfamiliar being, like something that's not familiar to like.
Well, yeah, because we didn't have the
humankind
technology, right?
to humankind
And
itself.
he made a really
that's technology and being.
So he made a really good analogy on the technology on the UFOs was like us going back in time to the Middle Ages,
right?
With a motorcycle.
Yeah,
they could start it up, they could drive it, but they had no idea how it worked or how to build one or do whatever.
Right.
That's the same thing with these UFOs today. And what they're doing is they're trying to reverse engineer, because what they're doing is for example, the Blackbird, the one that looks like a big boomerang with the jagged edges in the back, and it's very flat. That is from the alien technology they use to deflect the radar from our enemies so that we can more advance, aeronautically in defense. But to think that we're not learning more than just what's coming out of the UFOs, like bioweapons.
It's
right,
it's
like
bullshit.
viruses.
It's like we're not
diseases. Other things to try to make that a way to advance to get the one up on other countries, right? Because at that time it was all about defense and war. It was never about bio war.
No, hell
but
no.
today it would be. But today it would be, right?
And to where
look at coronavirus right now. That's just a perfect example where we're splicing different COVID types of you know, other types of
we're splicing diseases, variants.
exactly, variants to see, and then even ones that wouldn't attach to our cells, they're finding a way to make virulent and then spread. And so they're now unnatural. That's how they can prove this thing came from a lab as opposed to came from a wet market, right? And I know I'm going down the virus side, but my point is this is where you're seeing our society that's going to eventually evolve, and that's where the end game is, right? Because somebody's going to develop something and then release that shit and go, boom, sorry, you're going to wipe out 80% of the damn population, 50% of the population.
When you go back, you know, when we need to go back and talk about this too. About, because there is a historian that talks about civilizations, and how they destroy themselves.
The Roman Empire, the Ottoman Empire,
everything. Like, things before this. So it's like, well, hey, this and this happened. To where it's like...
And they're saying that about us right now with the U.S., right? Because every 80 years, an empire falls.
An empire falls.
You know, because you look at World War II.
It's like, well, why does it... Well, then you ask, like, well, why does it, right? Why does it fall? Is it for the better of a civilization?
It's just evolution. I think it's just natural evolution.
And then...
it's the evolution of war and peace, constantly repeating. Constantly
but then you ask yourself, the higher being, like, alien... like extraterrestrials, I don't know, like, what do you say, aliens, extraterrestrials, where you see this conversation
the funny thing is
happens, it's like, are they extraterrestrials?
My dad did also tell me that there were 4 aliens that we knew of, but there's massively more. There's ones that are like the reptilian, right?
Which I've heard about a little bit. Like
the other ones are the Palladians, I think. Those are the ones that look Nordic. They're very, very white. They're very, very fit. They basically they're basically like very, very fit. They're bigger than us by like a foot or two. But their hair is like almost like a bleach blonde white. Their skin is very, very pale, and their eyes are very, very, very blue, like twice as bright as yours, right? So dreamy.
So I'm close.
I know, right? So
God damn it, I'm close, but not close enough.
But those are the ones that are very. They're almost they're very like calm. They're very peaceful. There's been because I watched a lot of the UFO documentaries. About this stuff. Me too. And there's a lot of things that are overlapping. Because, for example...
Well, it's like, how is this so overlapping?
And then there's the grays. There's the short ones, and then there's the really tall ones. They say the short ones are like drones or workers, but the tall ones are the ones that are like the, I don't know, the more superior ones. I don't know. Because there's 8 to 9 foot grays, and then there's like the short midget gray ones, right? And so, it's really cool, though. And, that's what I've heard. So the grays are the ones that really want to just, apparently from what I've heard, they don't absorb their food through their mouth because their mouth is just a slit. They've evolved so further in their evolution of their bodies that they absorb it through nutrients in their skin. It's like a shower they take to absorb the nutrients that they need for their body. That's what I've heard. There's a lot of other stuff that are all just hearsay that I've seen in documentaries, and it's really interesting.
To where you and I talk, like you mentioned when we were talking last time, is like how much is entertainment and intertwined with government into releasing information through different entertainment-wise, but then how much does that relate to society?
I will say this, by the end of this, I think by the end of this century, we might not live to see it, but aliens will show themselves. I just have a feeling, because the way we're evolving right now, there's going to be a level or a point where, because you look at the level of it, think about it, in the 80s, we had fucking computers that were as big as this fucking basement that had computing power. And now we've got a fucking cell phone that are literally have more computing power than anything a warehouse could hold in the 1960s. That's just in like 40, 50 years, if that. You're now looking at today, just think where we're going to be in 50 years with computing powers of computers, video, surveillance, like whether it's biomedical, whether it's mechanical medical, like where you're going to see the leap now is in medical, right? If they allow it, right?
Because if they allow it because of the privatization from it. Like, and
they want population control. And
so like you heard Elon Musk, he talked about when you go back
genetically engineer, because they can genetically engineer livers. They They can take cells from your body
like
and make.
they've cloned it.
Cloned it. That's
they've
what
already
did.
cloned fucking sheep.
But the
There's
reason,
already,
hang on,
I don't know if
but the
actual,
reason
but
why they
already,
don't is because think about all the reject drugs. Think about all the acceptance drugs that they need to keep going. Pharmaceutical companies have the monopoly on this in order to, because think about it, if you didn't need a reject drug because you could just put in the same cell kidney that you had before, you wouldn't need reject drugs because it's your same kidney cloned, right? So when you think about the cloning of organs and skin and everything else, you would kill an entire industry overnight if that stuff became available, readily available. But and that was 1996.
1996.
Dolly was the sheep.
1996. Dolly the sheep was cloned.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to think about
from a mammary gland cell in a thin Dorset ewe into an inoculated egg cell taken from a Scottish black.
Surprisingly, on Google they have this. But if you Google when did the first cloned sheep happen, that was in 1996. So when you think of like the first,
and we're going on 30 years.
We're going on like 30 years from now, right? Yeah. It's like what are we not being divulged? Right?
Yeah.
Because when you think about that,
because you don't think the government's trying all this shit.
Oh hell yeah. But then you think about just gonna say Magic Johnson, AIDS, what? Slam dunk in life.
You just inject money in your bloodstream. What are you talking about?
When you have that going on, when you have this the medical practices going on, and like they cloned a sheep in 1996. You're gonna tell me that there hasn't been any
evolution
in advancement in technology from cloning sheep, from AIDS occurring, from cancer occurring. I'm sorry, but like there's a point where human society would be like, listen, what the fuck's going on? Like, and why are you not telling us this? Are you?
And then they're claiming it's religious, right? Because well,
it's not.
You clone people, do they have a soul?
Facade.
It is a facade.
It's a facade.
It is. It's a facade.
Yeah.
And so the funny thing is this.
To maybe them holding back on what's actually out there.
And so this was another funny thing that my dad kind of told me. The Men in Black.
Right.
So they say I think they do exist, right? But the theory is that the reason why there's...
But it was like over-exaggerating maybe a little? Or maybe not.
Well, hang on.
Who fucking knows?
So what happened was, who do you think green-lighted the aliens to be able to kidnap people in the middle of the night? The government. Our government green-lighted it, said, hey, but the government's condition was, hey, everything you do to these people, everything that you learn... We want to know. We want to know what you're learning, and we want to learn your practices. We want to learn your technologies.
Right.
And so that was the government's, hey, you can kidnap our people in the middle of the night, do whatever experiment hell you want on them. Just put them back where you found them, blah, blah, blah. But guess what? We get to know. So guess what? There's 2 men in black by the door standing over where the aliens are actually doing the experimentations on the people. Right? So you don't think this shit's happening? It's fucking
happening.
Right?
So here's
that's just my theory though, because
here's something to tag along with that is have you ever heard of, and there's theories of this, it's just a theory, it's not factual, but then we don't know what it is or what it isn't. It makes you question. So do you ever have a dream where like someone's like you ever have like when you wake up but you don't fully wake up and you feel like something's on you?
Yeah, I have had that feeling. It's only once or twice I've had it though.
There's stipulation.
It's called like sleep paralysis, I think.
Sleep paralysis.
It's like awake. It's like awake paralysis, kind of.
But then like that's where they question of like that's where they sort of tied in sleep paralysis with the Matrix as well. Like the whole movie about that. But then also extraterrestrials as well, experimenting on that.
Right.
Whereas I wanted to have one of our viewers that, if they're still viewing, I reached out to you. We'd like to have you on, along with another viewer that ties back to the Cedar Point story that feels like he's had. I know, you're like, really, the Cedar Point story that I just told earlier?
No, I get it. There's like a guardian angel kind of thing.
There's like some kind of feeling that rescues you. Right, but that saved you from this catastrophe that's happening to you.
Yeah.
But someone that I know feels like when they were younger that they were traveling somewhere, and that they saw this thing, and then they felt they were taken away, but then they came back, right?
They got Roofaland.
Okay, maybe. Hey,
the aliens have something else to knock you out, but still make you aware.
Right, and maybe Bill Cosby was onto something. We don't know.
Nice.
Boom. Cosby
joke.
Oh. Aliens. Oh, they're real. They're real. Oh, Jello is just another word for fucking aliens. But there's like ties to that to where it's like, hey, this could be experiences to this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like this could be a part, which makes humans in essence like, hey, like let's say like everything going on now.
Yeah.
Right, political wise,
Mm-hmm.
The feeling of like if you feel like your freedoms are being taken away could just be a ploy to divert you from like the bigger picture.
Well, it's the wag the dog. Is the wag the dog scenario. It's just like when Biden they hit some Syrian terrorist hole, right?
Right.
And then put that all over the news, and it was to divert the Biden administration from the failings that they've done over the course of it was the border, right?
Right.
There was a Project Veritas thing that came out that said that they were like, yeah, we're just these people show up across the border, we put them in vans and we send them wherever they want to go. It's like, wait, what? You don't process them? No, it's ridiculous.
We have 2 viewers right now. Please
So-
share and subscribe to our. You can find Rustabout Bastards on YouTube and Rumble. Please, please. Like the big thing is subscribe and sharing us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Please do that because we want to get more conversations. We're just starting this out, but this is like why we're talking about like the extraterrestrial, the UFO thing right now.
Yeah.
But I want to have a separate. You and I talked about having a separate podcast about that. I want to have 2 people that I know that might have experiences or just stories about it on there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
One's like so and so. One I think that will go. But like this is the part like with us conversing, it's like, we bullshit and talk about stuff, but there's serious stuff behind it.
Yeah.
And just like, for me, when you ask me, like, why do I want to do this podcast, it's like to seeing what else is out there, to conversing with people and seeing what their thoughts are, what their experiences are, what their jobs are, what they do, how they relate to society in general. But these bigger things that, like...
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
there's
but...
so much of the world we don't know.
There's so much of the world that we don't know. Look at the FBI, like, literally declassified information, like, hey...
Yeah, the Freedom of Information Act law that was passed is awesome.
There's fucking... The Freedom of Information Act, like, it is like, hey, guess what? There was this pilot, I can't remember his name, Air Force pilot, that was on Joe Rogan. Guess what? He's like, it's like the Tic Tac. Thing that you heard about. It's like, hey, we saw it here, but then it was here in like splits of a fucking second.
I don't know if you know this, but the pilots are told like you can lock, but they said you can radar and track, but don't lock because then that scares them off. They think you're engaging because the UFOs that they encounter are so more advanced because they're not from this world. I mean, they're millions of years. Their civilization's millions of years old.
Which makes you think, like, when we die, what actually really happens?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Oh, yeah.
Which is a question now.
There's theories
and other dimensional things that are going out, which is crazy that you see in entertainment they're portraying right now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, is entertainment portraying that because government wants us to?
Right.
Like, like to slowly, like, trickle information.
And you never know. But but over the years of the technology, when you see technology start to drop off a little bit, and then you find that you're like, wait a minute, something's going on here behind the scenes, you can tell that the government's up to something, right? You just don't know what it is.
But you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing is like, why don't you know what it is? And why don't we know what it is? Like, is government themselves so if you take a look at the pandemic, right? Like fucking shit that hit the fan. People were stressing out about fucking toilet paper and fucking
which was a joke.
Ridiculous joke about like it's just a joke. So
the point is you can see how fragile society is.
How fragile is society to where they have to
don't want to release the information.
Where they have to slowly trickle like things into us to divulge what's actually out there.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, they're not able to do this. Otherwise, society itself
Yeah.
is going to collapse.
Yeah.
Right? But then that's where we as society need to bring ourselves up. And, like,
If
and I'm
aliens
going to
came
say
down-
it, but you need to, like,
If
like,
aliens came to New York City,
Right.
what percentage of people do you think be like, dude, get me the fuck off this planet?
I'd be like, with
I'd be
how
like,
shit's
"Eh."
going right now,
How easy are your women? That's the only answer
it's
to that
like,
question I'd want to know.
can we have the sex that Tommy Boy had? Not Tommy Boy, Conan's had? With
Oh,
like the
God.
thing on the thing is
They're
like,
like
they don't have to worry about impregnating
Oh,
anybody.
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man.
Oh, God.
Right,
that's
but it
hilarious.
makes you think, like, where is society going?
Yeah.
Why are we,
It's-
why are we fed this? Listen, like,
It's-
all
it's
this
tough to
shit's
know.
going on, political, Republican, Democrat, which is a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, where do you see this as, like, there's all this shit going on, but do you realize, like
There's a lot
we
of
said
people-
earlier, like you said, the act, what was it?
The Freedom of Information Act?
The Freedom of Information Act. They divulged like information
yeah.
that there are literally aircrafts that they can't identify.
Correct.
And like, okay, guess what? They renamed it something, the UFO. I can't remember.
Yeah.
They renamed it. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, you're right. It was. They don't
It's
name
fucking-
it a UFO. It's like what's the new name for what replaced UFO?
It's like a something or UAP. It's it's a UAP.
Unidentifiable.
Uh,
I don't know. Aeronautical piece of shit.
yeah.
I don't know.
Which is like,
But
it's like, really, you gotta rename shit? Like, hey, listen, this is an
well, it's
unidentified
just like the
flying
Great
fucking
Reset.
object.
That's just like the Great Reset.
Right.
They called it the New World Order. Then they called it the Great Reset. Now you know it better as Build Back Better.
Right.
Right. So it's like they keep evolving it.
Maybe
so
they're
that you don't-
building back better the systems that compensate for the alien technology.
I know,
that we
right?
don't have.
but it's interesting because there's a lot of people that, because think about all the abductions that have happened where people don't know each other,
Right.
and then they say, hey, I corroborate their story because it almost matched verbatim
Right.
the identification of what these aliens look like,
Mhm.
what they did to them. It was
Yeah.
really interesting, and so
Because with
was
so
really, really
when you take
interesting.
that Tic Tac, the
Yeah,
Tic Tac.
well, the maneuvers that they can show on camera, like I don't know if you know about the Phoenix Lights, right? Remember they happened in like '98 or '97.
right.
Remember
Yeah.
that?
No, I remember
There's
that.
3,000 people that witnessed those
There's
lights.
30,000 people that witnessed that, but I'm gonna.
And then the government's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Dude, it just interfered with Phoenix airport airspace, you douche, and they shut down the airport.
Yeah.
And you're going to sit there and say, I don't know, nothing happened? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, so obviously the government knew about it. They knew about something of what that was, right? And if you ask me, I think it was somebody going rogue because they would have never let that get out there.
Oh hell no, they wouldn't.
It was huge, too. It was half a mile long. It was 7 lights, like a mile apart. The thing was huge. And it was 7 lights, and the whole thing was black. That's why you couldn't see anything else but the lights. It looked like big can lights, you know?
Right.
It was crazy. I saw some of the videos, and you know videos from the 90s. They're really grainy and shit from
Right.
home video. So the pixels weren't that great. But people that described it, they said they went under it while they were driving under the road. They're like, it took us 2 minutes to drive underneath the fucking thing.
Yeah.
That's how long it was. And I was like, holy shit. And it was silent, too, they said. It was silent.
Right.
Completely silent. So they don't know what it is. You know?
So
But
there.
it's interesting. You know?
I can't.
Oh, and the...
So-
yeah.
So there was something that happened. It happened like they saw it in Africa, Australia. There's little kids that saw it in like Africa. That
Yeah.
were like drawing pictures.
Mhm.
But there's like the most recent one is like I remember listening off of Joe Rogan's podcast about when they interviewed Bob Lazar and then General Phaser Faber. I can't remember his name offhand. When they were talking about this, they mentioned like, hey, listen, there's like these like the most recent sightings. Like, listen, this happened over like multiple countries,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the multiple countries, there was a soccer game somewhere in Europe, somewhere.
I think I
Like,
remember hearing about
There's
this.
somewhere in Europe, like, literally they saw these lights. It's like, you can't,
Yeah.
everyone saw this. And it's like, how can you discredit, like, thousands of
people
seeing this.
Weather balloon.
And
right?
Not just in that country, but at multiple different countries.
Mm-hmm.
They saw this. I think there was a famous sports player, maybe it was a soccer or something.
Right.
But like people film this.
Yeah.
And it's like it's out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, what is this? The government doesn't have it. Listen, like if the government's like, hey, listen, this might be like technology that another country has that we don't have.
Right.
It's like there might be something that, because stipulations come from aliens that don't come from abroad, from outer space, but they're from here on Earth itself.
In our oceans, maybe.
Well, yeah, in our fucking oceans, like
right.
fucking. There's so much of that's undiscovered that could have came.
Yeah, because we can't build crafts to go low enough because we can't take the pressure.
They said like when the unidentified flying objects have like occurred, when like the most unidentified objects when these occurred was actually after the bombing of Hiroshima.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
after you saw that, you started seeing like these sightings come up. So it's like, well, why did this happen?
Here's why I know. So, there's a lot of reasons why once Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed that we started seeing these, and that was because we've now come into a generation on this planet where we can now destroy ourselves with the technology that we have.
Yeah.
So now we are a smart enough species to be able to destroy ourselves, but also defend ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did was, these people are starting to get too smart for their own britches. Maybe we ought to keep an eye on them.
Right.
That was their theory.
Mm-hmm.
And so my theory is that I think it was Eisenhower was the first.
Yeah, it was Eisenhower.
It was Eisenhower was the first president that met actual aliens.
Right.
And they said, look.
And he's actually against it.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So I've heard theories that the aliens have told them, like, hey, don't set off nukes. They didn't say it in that way, but they said don't set off these weapons because it messes with the parallel dimensions.
Right.
That was
That's
one
what
theory.
I was going to talk about.
Another one was, I don't know if you've seen, but it's confidential video, and I've seen it on some of documentaries, where it's when they were doing the testings out in the Arizona desert for the atomic bombs during World War II.
Right.
They had videos set up from ultimate different angles by half a mile back, and it showed ships literally coming in and hitting something with a laser at the base of the mushroom cloud when it hit. And then you see it ban across and then gone. It disappeared so fast. And it's because, and then there's also been theories where there's people that are in the military that are manning also the nuke silos throughout the Midwest of this country. And there's alien crafts that will show up and start tinkering with the electronics of these silos. And they'll shut on and off, on and off. And I've
seen that with the nuclear sites.
With the nuclear sites.
Yeah, so they're like oh shit, what's going on?
So they're saying, so what I think they're trying to say is that, hey, we know you have these, we know where they are, we can detect them, and we can shut you down in a minute if we want to.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are like, well, is this the Russians? Is this the Chinese? No, it ain't fucking from this world.
Where like
it ain't from this world.
When you look at what's going on with like political wise, and then just economics and and just world in general, world occurrences in general, it's like, what are they spinning to actually divert you to what actually might be going on? Right.
You just don't know. You just don't know. The rabbit hole goes so deep that you're never going to know what they're until they actually choose to release what information.
Right. Only Alice knows.
What's that?
Alice.
Yeah, Alice. Yeah. But it's really interesting. Like I've watched a lot of those documentaries and people that have been in the military and seen certain things and talked about certain things, and it's cool, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think I think people are doing a disservice if they're not.
But with my mom knowing she had the security clearance that she did and hearing some of those things, it just makes you go. It's like fuck, man.
It's like, listen, that's not something to fucking make up.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You told me like a full story about it, and it's like.
Oh yeah.
It's like you're not gonna. It's like really.
Yeah.
You know.
And the funny thing is my mom, she would not talk. My dad would try to poke her, prod her all the time with like you know, but my mom would literally be watching the news with my dad. This was when we were really young, like we're talking elementary school, so early 80s. And my mom would literally be like, that didn't fucking happen. And she would be pointing at the news guy.
Yeah.
And it was all lies.
Right.
And so they were things that the news, that they put on the news even back then, that were like, my mom was like, she knew because she had high enough clearance to say, yeah, that didn't fucking happen.
It's bullshit.
It is
to
bullshit.
where it's like, how much is media, and now that big tech has come out, media that we've known, like growing up, news-wise, and social media, like how much is it affecting us, and how much do they, like, prevented us knowing from what we really should know? Right. And why are they doing that?
Yeah. But I'll tell you, mark my words, it's going to be mostly in medical advancement or medical tyranny that's going to take place in the next couple of decades.
I believe it.
Because look at where the technology, they're now having robots doing minor surgeries or major surgeries, right? Because a arm or whatever. Like, you've seen the movie Aliens Requiem, remember that one? Mm-hmm. Where remember when he knocked the girl up, but because he was infected with the alien DNA, that it was an alien inside her, so she got in the machine and sliced her open and pulled it out, and then the alien was growing so fast, her body couldn't contain it. Right. And what did she do? She told the computer, remove contaminant. Right. And she shot herself up with morphine, it got out of her and she climbed out. Well, but the alien was being contained. But that's my point. Like that machine is something that you're going to see in the future with surgeries.
They talked about surgeries. About they said, like, I forget what I was watching, but the first thing that you're going to see go, that you already see going right now, is more customer service jobs, as far as
because you
as
don't need
retail and things like that. It's like you don't need it anymore,
it's all
because of tech. It's going to be automated, right? To where when you think about that, it's like you walk into a McDonald's right now. Yeah,
you order via kiosk.
Like you see those kiosks being, it's like, really? It's like, so all the person's got to do is like, fucking, here you go. Yeah. And like, when you go back to like the 80s and 90s.
Did you see the study of how much fecal matter were actually on the kiosk?
Fucking disgusting.
I was like, that's so gross.
I did. Like, it's disgusting. And when I went up there, I'm like, I'm not ordering from this.
I'm not touching that screen.
And they're like, well, why? It's like, because I actually saw a news article and a video, how much fecal matter is on there. So I'm going to place my order with you.
Yeah, no shit.
And the person looked at me at McDonald's like that. I'm like, no, I'm going to.
You need to wipe your screen down.
It's like, walk yourself behind there and fucking take my order.
Yeah.
But, like, if you've seen that taking place in customer service jobs, in retail jobs, in manufacturing, and
that's always been the struggle in the U.S. too, because we're such a more advanced country than most others, right? That's why manufacturing jobs have left, because we go to Mexico, we go to China.
When you look at that, what takes place? Robotics takes place of our service that we used to have to do. So when you think about medical-wise in general, if I just think in general of a surgery, right, of a major surgery that could take hours, right? Whereas we as humans are capable of doing something that an actual machine that is programmed to do better.
And do more consistently.
More consistently. And not get tired. Right. Like, if you have somebody doing surgery for multiple hours, 4 or 5 hours, if they're doing a surgery.
Because you've seen the movie Elysium, right?
Right.
That was a cool movie.
It's like, no, you're going to have the machine do that. They've been programmed to perform that surgery. Right. And then you see that going on. It's like, no, like, what's more dependable? It's like that machine's more dependable, unfortunately, than humans are itself. Because guess what? Machines aren't going to do. Right. Guess what? They're not going to experience. What aren't they going to experience?
What?
Fatigue.
Yeah, you're right.
And like that goes. So when you look at medical wise or anything like the fatigue wise, it's like they're going to experience that. Which segue back into the extraterrestrial or whatever.
The technology.
That they have.
Because there's people that have been injured.
Like, what do they have? Yeah. If they're coming down here, it's like,
because there was one guy who said he was injured.
Right.
And he literally he said he was abducted. and then he came. He obviously woke up the next day
Yeah.
because he was going to have surgery, right? He said he was going to have surgery the next day or the day after that.
Yeah.
And he was fine after he got abducted because they detected the injury in his leg. They fixed it. And what my theory is the reason why they're able to fix things is they're able to phase your body or their body in and out of matter,
right,
to get right to the spot where they're able to fix it.
Yeah.
That's why they'll be able to get in the brain to put implants in spots where our surgery can't get to, or it's behind a nerve or a membrane or something. So what they're able to do is either phase the machine out of flux of matter to get back there, or get to a certain spot in your body and fix it or do exactly what the body's meant to do in a healing, to where you have no side effects, no fatigue after the surgery. It's like outpatient done,
to
right?
Where
you're healed. You're completely healed overnight.
When you think about that, right? And we're
and that's how they're able to phase in and out of houses when they abduct people, right?
Right. So I'm gonna segue back into freedom of speech, because that's what my thing is about. But then more of like what our government's doing makes me. This is what makes me question everything that's going on right now. Not freedom of speech wise, but just like control.
We're left out of the conversation.
Where
right?
we're left out of the conversation. It's like, well, why? But then when you so this goes back to, we've had other podcasts about different socialism, like we talked about things before.
Yeah.
It's like, at what point do we phase ourselves out? Right?
Yeah.
At what point?
Out of relevancy.
So,
pretty sure
we're
irrelevant to the government right now.
I'm not saying hey, be fucking motivated, do things that do things to motivate yourself, your others, and do things for yourselves.
Right.
But at what point are we not able? Are we not going to be able to do things for ourselves because something can do it better? Whereas someone has to step in and be like. So if we're here as a society and as human beings all together, but we don't have the daily functions of hey, have somewhere to go, have something to do, make money, prosper for yourself. If we don't have those means in the future,
a sense of purpose,
it's then you look at I'm
look at what
trying,
happened in the pandemic. Right?
So when I look at Medicaid and things like that, and talk about socialism, I don't believe that communism, there's terrible stuff that occurs and monstrosities that occur when there's terrorism.
Oh yeah.
But then at what point in society in general does society and government in general is hey, what if we we're not able to take care of ourselves in the future? How are we going to be able to take care of ourselves? How are you going to feed yourselves? How are you going to be competent in general?
People in society find
where a way. What happens then? Does society in general, how do we function as a society? Because we look at, if you look at the basics,
and society's being redefined right now.
It is. So
if
you look at the basics, right? If you go back, it's trade, barter, right? Offer goods. If you have no, people are gonna have. I think that humankind, our species, would hopefully have something to offer in goods.
Right.
You're going to, if everything falls and falters, pandemic wise, when you saw shit happen, it's you might have something. Look at hunting, but you can hunt and make food and get food when food is expensive. But at some point, if society takes a turn to where this technology, and you hear Elon Musk talk about it, prevails, and it's already talked about. I heard a person that was on Joe Rogan that I couldn't find, that I looked earlier. It's hey, this started happening 20, 30 years ago.
Right.
It's it's already happening.
Right.
To where it's
one of those things with the birth rate.
Right. And it's where do you see, and where do we go from here? Yeah. So if we're here on a planet with ourselves, procreating and everything else,
right.
But then everything else has taken place, they're taking care of our needs, where do you see humans, are we gonna eliminate ourselves, right? like, how are we going to feed ourselves? How are we going to gain money for ourselves?
I do think
Who
we are
provides
approaching.
for us?
Well, here's the thing. This is what's scary, but ever since September 11th, right? You
Right.
had SARS.
Yeah.
You had swine flu.
Yeah.
You've had COVID. So
Right.
it's very clear what government or these people that are releasing these viruses across the world are doing.
Yeah.
Like right now, I think it's Bill Gates and a couple of other people that have said, hey, we need to thin the herd. In other words, they want to do population control.
Yeah.
Well, China tried doing it, and guess what? They've got no
Not
limit
so
now,
much.
right? They messed up the combination of men versus women within their country, and now they have a cultural
Well, now
population problem.
So now they have a population problem.
Yeah.
China does,
Yeah.
because you see that since they decided, hey, let's drown some babies in some buckets.
Yeah, no kidding.
And
But
what is
that's just one thing that I've mentioned that is going to impact the future.
This is the longest podcast we've
I know,
ever
right?
done.
I know.
This is.
We've done 2 hours since we reconnected. We
No,
went 2
no.
hours before that.
Yeah, we have so far.
We got no viewers.
I think it's like 3 hours in summer for us.
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
should tie this up. And
All right.
All
But
right.
yeah, so you know,
You fucking bastards out there, right?
follow us.
Follow
like,
us.
Subscribe.
Fuck nuts.
Rumble.
Please-
Rumble and YouTube.
Please share us, subscribe
Yeah,
to us.
yeah.
I'm gonna hit these people up that actually like commented on us. Hey,
Yeah,
share our
that'd be cool.
videos.
Yeah.
Jeremy, bad combination. Henry, he's doing some stuff right now, trying to do for himself in the fighting game.
That's cool, man.
Maybe if you want to be on our podcast, be on our podcast. There's a few other people. Jeff said he'd be on it.
Yeah, that's cool,
Which
man.
I'd like him to be on. We want to talk about the trucking industry because that's all fucked up.
Yeah,
dog.
that's actually an important one.
Yeah.
That's something we might not have tied in but
We want to have. I'm calling you out. The Satanic Temple Organization of Detroit.
that sounds awesome.
I know, right?
That's awesome.
So I reached out to them. I hope that you follow through because we do want to interview you, not to make fun of you. We always make fun of ourselves and everyone else, but just to get, I don't know. For me, doing podcasts, like it's
just
like
interviewing interesting people.
Yeah, please get a hold of us. Anybody
Yeah.
that has anybody out there that wants to talk, follow us, subscribe us. Let us know if you want to fucking chat.
Rust Belt bastards, baby.
Yeah, back to fucking our beginning, freedom of fucking speech.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, the freedom of speech is just don't cancel, right? That's really the bit of it.
Nope.
Don't cancel and don't. If you've got a difference of opinion and you don't like what you're hearing, change the fucking channel.
Fuck yeah,
That's
man.
That's it, man. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
But to have somebody cancel, have their freedom of speech censored because you don't like it, that's fascism.
This
right?
fascism, that's being fucking
Yeah.
ignorant
Yeah.
and not tolerant. And
they may be saying stupid shit, but who?
I'm sure there's some things that I say that you're
yeah,
like,
you and me both.
like fucking really, Jay. And there's something, but you want to know
yeah.
what? Like, it's...
You
guess
let it
what?
go. You had a thicker skin back then.
Yeah.
You let it go, and you
Let it
said
go.
whatever.
Create,
you don't care.
create conversations because it creates
Conversation and debate.
It creates
Because that's what sparks ideas, right?
ideas, tolerance.
What do you think a think tank is?
Fuck yeah,
right?
man.
You get 5 people with different points of
Yeah.
view, and you come up with an idea to market or create a product or strategy and make money off of that and try
Exactly.
to sell it to people. Like
Okay.
that's how you do it, right?
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. Do it.
All right.
All right.
So bastards, stay
Holy
classy.
shit, that